of the three, you're more sure that A.J. Brown would stay in Tennessee. I don't know. Would you say that?
The Titans, I think, are way more reliant on A.J. Brown and what he provides. But the last receiver that's sort of in the controversy right now is A.J. Brown, not because there's necessarily anything like Debo's done to where he's scrubbing social medias or even any major changes like Seattle's had to where they, get rid of Russell Wilson. But just because they haven't been able to get a deal done yet between him and the Titans, they did lose Julio Jones to free agency. They didn't want to bring him back. And so he lobbied really hard for Julio last year. I don't know if that necessarily plays in anything, but also people just started to question, like, what's his long-term viability going to be in Tennessee? Not like his production wise, but like, does he believe that Tennessee's the place that he can, best fit and thrive and win? I think at the end of the day, they're going to pay him big money because once again, like when you have a receiver of that sort of talent, I think losing Julio makes it clear that AJ is going to stay. Like you don't lose Julio and then let AJ walk or trade him or something like that, because at that point, at least to me, it feels like you're moving more towards a rebuild, because who would you really have on the offensive side outside of like Derrick Henry? Not really a lot of weapons. So I think AJ Brown's going to stay. I think all three receivers are going to stay, but regardless, it is a talking point because with the wide receiver market exploding right now with Devontae and Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill, all these guys getting major money. I mean, teams got to start considering that now with these younger receivers, and they're all from the 2019 class. So these are sort of the first receiver groups that are going to be coming out and getting those big time extensions.
Another point I want to throw in, which I should have with the other two guys, but I think since we both feel this is probably, I'm not sure if you do, but it sounds like of the three, you're more sure that A.J. Brown would stay in Tennessee. I don't know. Would you say that?
I would say, I think from an organizational standpoint, it makes the most sense for A.J. Brown to stay compared to the other guys, just because the Seahawks are a little bit more in a rebuild. So it would be more understandable if they traded DK. And the Niners scheme, I think Shanahan's just such a genius that if hypothetically they did not want to pay Debo that money, they would be a little more comfortable of maybe replacing him with guys in the draft, to where the Titans, I think, are way more reliant on A.J. Brown and what he provides.
Yeah. So I was just curious because, also I think something to consider too, maybe why some of these guys haven't gone ahead and signed extensions, is the cap is it was supposed to blow up before COVID, and obviously COVID happened, and it kind of put a hamper on that. But NFL cap is expected to start booming here soon. At least that's what they're telling me on Pro Football Talk. And I've seen obviously other reports. So maybe that's what these receivers, and maybe their agents are saying, just wait another year. We'll do the extension then. Maybe we'll get a better idea of what the cap space is, so you can get that money. But I'm with you. I think AJ is going to stay. Not many other cornerstone pieces, at least young cornerstone pieces. I mean, we saw Derrick Henry last year, had that foot injury. We'll see if he can bounce back this year, but always scary when any running back, especially your main bell cow, starts getting dinged up. Because we've seen it way too many times where one ding leads to another ding, and all of a sudden, a year or two later, like the team lets them go because they just can't stay on the field. It's unfortunate, but we've seen that a lot. And then Ryan Tannehill, he's in his mid-30s, but he's not elite level quarterback money. So there's still, end of the day, there's still a lot of money to be allocated to AJ Brown. Mike Vrabel, very good defensive coach. I know Jeffrey Simmons might be coming up in a couple of years if he continues playing the way he has. But I figure they'll find pieces to make it work. They're kind of like New England, where they're not going to mortgage majority of their cap space to 3 or 4 guys unless they're studs, which I think we can agree AJ Brown is kind of a stud. So I expect him to stay, and like I alluded to earlier, I'm most confident of the three. I'm most confident that AJ Brown will probably stay, and I won't be shocked if he's the first one to resign. If he just says, I don't know. I just feel like he's really. I don't know him personally. I haven't followed the socials, but it just seems like he really enjoys Tennessee. He played through injury, I think, last year or not last year, but 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago. I remember I had him in fantasy. It was kind of frustrating, but you got to applaud him because he would always be questionable until game time. But yeah, like you mentioned, letting go of Julio, I think, showed that they feel he's, we'll get Robert Woods in here, yes, but you're the guy, AJ, from here going forward. There's no doubts about that anymore. So, yeah, that's how I feel about AJ Brown. Do you have anything else to add?
That's going to be it. I think all three are going to stay.